Welcome to Happy Hour!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back from a interesting and extended winter vacation. Just speaking for myself, I had a wonderful time here at home with my family. We have two small toddlers. And last Christmas, there was sort of this cloud of an impending major surgery for my daughter, who wasn't quite yet 2. So I spent this Christmas just reveling in how normal it was in comparison and taking stock of the year in a really delightful way. And of course, feeling very grateful for all of you in this community. So I hope that yours was equally lovely, even though I think COVID is wearing thin and calling on all of us to summon a lot of stamina, but happy that you're all here to help us get through it. So tonight we'll be staying in Zoom exclusively, and if you're new around here, which I doubt you are, this seems more like the in crowd tonight, but we have to say it. Please be nice in the chat. And please write your questions and suggestions in the chat as well. We hope that the chat will be really active today because we do actively want to know what music is going to be calming and soothing for you right now and why that is. So please use the chat for that. And yeah, I'll hand it over to Kevin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Kumar, the co-artistic director of Salastina. Today's happy hour is a peek behind the very thin and insubstantial Salastina curtain to see how we'll come up with programming for our next live concert, which takes place outdoors at the end of March. The title of the program is Salastina.calm, C-A-L-M, which was cleverly coined by our artistic partner, Brian Lauritzen. If I remember correctly, several of us came to the same programming premise independently from one another, the premise being an entire program of our favorite slow movements or slow pieces. And
only one of us provided a terrible pun.
It's my favorite pun. I love it. And this idea has been marinating for quite some time. I have a feeling we'll debate exactly what the .com means, but we'll hear ideas from each of our resident artists. We'd also like as Maya said, we'd also like to invite you into this creative space by encouraging you during our discussion to think about what you'd like to hear on the program, and share your ideas with us later in the program. So we will definitely include your suggestions into the I want to say calculus, but calculus of the heart, maybe, in synthesizing the program. So Maya, with everything that's going on, this program feels like the right time for this program, right?
Oh, definitely. So, I mean, we had our family meeting last night with the resident artist too. We were talking about just how much we've been spared having to tear our hair out over, do we cancel this winter concert or do we not? And we feel very grateful to have A, made the decision to do everything outside, and B, anticipated, thanks to Kevin's wife primarily being a hospitalist and very educated in what might have happened in second winter of COVID, to have had the foresight to not plan anything for the cold, sicky months. And to that end, also anticipating that when we were back, it would be a good time to do Salastina.calm. So, and for that reason too, we felt like this happy hour would be nice to devote to that same spirit of optimism and refuge. We're all excited to share our top choice for what we'd like to program and give you all a look at why that would be great or not so great, and hear what yours are too.
Yeah, and Brian, when you came up with the term, I mean, that was years ago, right? But I mean, last night you were go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't exactly remember when the genesis of all of this was, but there was a moment when y'all were playing all of the piano trios of the Schumanns.
Mhm.
And the slow movement of Clara Schumann's piano trio is just like one of the most beautiful things that any human has created, I think. And the way that Maya played those opening phrases with Heijin, and then the cello entrance just made me melt, and it was Yoshi playing it. And I'm like, we got to do a show that's just this, all this. And my original thought was like, let's do all slow movements at a concert that starts at like 10 p.m. or midnight or something. We decided to spare y'all the extra need for caffeine to get through that. But it was that moment of hearing Maya and Yoshi and Heijin play the slow movement of Clara's piano trio that was just like, yeah, we got to do something along these lines. And now I have 30 seconds before I have to say something on the radio, so I'll let you take it from there.
Are you on the air?
I'm still at work.
But are you on the air for the whole hour, or how much longer are you on?
I'm on until 7, and I got to back announce Ben. I've got to back announce Cecile Chaminade's flute concertino now. So I'll let you take it from there. Your favorite piece.
Back to middle school.
Nice.
Well, yeah. Don, do we have that performance? I think that's one of Brian's choices. So I think what we're going to do tonight is you're going to hear some of our resident artist choices, and we don't know what these are. This is just as like the first draft of this program. And what happens is, we'll take everyone's suggestions, and then we kind of look for any themes that come up, or ways to tie the program together and how it can best serve the audience. So maybe we can, as Brian is is working, I had no idea he was working right now too. We can hear a little bit of that, Don? Yeah? So we were supposed to do our one top choice, but you have a couple more.
Yeah, but first of all, just like, am I right about that, or am I right about that? Is that not just like the most beautiful thing you've ever heard? And
the performance really helps. I mean, the performance sells it to you. Yeah.
I was mentioning this particular clip on Twitter yesterday, and so I reposted my original tweet, and one of like the top Clara Schumann scholars in the world saw it and commented and said, "Oh my God, they play this better than anyone I've ever heard playing this." So, Sarah, Clara Schumann scholar agrees. Like, no, it's incredible, and yeah. So I wish Yoshi were here to hear that love, but he's on tour in Japan.
That's so sweet and humbling. Please listen to the Isabel Faust recording. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's fine too, but I mean, Maya, Isabella Faust. I'm just saying.
Well, what else is on your list?
Yeah, so I kind of came with two options, and this is again peek behind the curtain. So one is 12 minutes, and one is like 3.5, and so it's gonna come down to probably what fits better. And we don't want to monopolize the time with a 12-minute piece. However, I've been begging my Salastina musicians to play anything by Eric Wolfgang Korngold, please.
Ooh, okay.
And like all of his slow movements are astonishingly beautiful. This particular one for me is from the piano quintet. He's in his like early to mid 20s writing this piece. It's before he has to flee Austria, being a Jewish man in World War II. It's before he came to Hollywood and started writing all the film music. It's him like in his most optimistic, hopeful, and yet there's a tender warmth about this piece too. And actually, this is one of the pieces that right at the beginning and during the middle of some of the worst of the isolation moments of the pandemic, and when I was really missing hearing live music, this is a piece that I turned to that just like was a piece of comfort for me. So if we have time for 12 minutes of Korngold slow movement, this is what the beginning of it sounds like.
This is beautiful. I mean,
it's just so like it's simple. It's like if Mahler had written more chamber music than just a one piece.
I would have thought it was an American composer.
Yeah,
something very.
So as beautiful as that Clara Schumann was, as played by Maya and Yoshi, now imagine adding Kevin and Meredith to the mix, and how incredible
disaster.
That would sound. I don't know. So that's if we have time for 12 minutes, that's like my top choice. And honestly, like play the whole piece at some point, but we'll, we might get there at some point. And then if we need a short piece, then my pick is the slow movement from a piece called Arcadiana by British composer Thomas Addis. This movement is called O Albion. Every movement in some way references water. This in particular, to me, like reminds me of like a chamber music piece that is like talking to the ghost of Nimrod from Elgar's Enigma Variations. And it's just a big, warm musical hug. So that's the LA Quartet too, by the way, the Calder Quartet playing that particular.
Oh, nice. Oh, our friends.
Those cats are amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love them all.
Ryan, I was just thinking, you were saying to start the concert at 10 o'clock. One of our previous guests, Isabel Hagen, she's the violist comedian. She told me that she went on tour with Max Richter doing Sleep.
Sleep? Yeah.
Where it's like a concert where they put out mattresses for the audience.
Yeah.
And it's like 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And the musicians have to go in shifts.
Yeah.
And they toured the world doing this.
Yeah.
And she said she aged like 30 years.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Well, Mozart 24 is ending here, so I'm going to mute myself. And
Can we listen to you do it?
Oh, sure. Let me mute Zoom then.
Okay.
I don't have much to say in this break, but
it's just cool to feel like we were all there.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Symphony number 24 in B flat by a, teenage Mozart. He was about 16, 17 when he wrote that. Yeah, he had already gotten to 24 symphonies by 17. That was the Amsterdam Baroque Orchestra led by Ton Koopman this evening here on Classical KUSC. A little bit later on this evening, we've got some music, Oscar-nominated music by John Williams. What of his isn't? And we've got the LA Chamber Orchestra playing Bach. That's coming up.
The master at work.
That's that.
That was so fun. Thank you for letting us be
Oh, sure. Anytime.
All right, Meredith, what you got?
Hey. Okay. So first of all, Maya, you look so pretty. I just have been dying to say that. You look beautiful. I don't know what you did, but some of your hair looks really beautiful. Anyway.
The amount of compliments that I have been getting tonight is a little unreal. We've never changed.
Well deserved. All well deserved.
Thank you.
So I have two picks. They're a little bit more basic than I'm guessing you will hear from other members of Salastina, which is good. Got to represent the basic bees out in the world, which I am one of. So my choices are both Schubert. Both Schubert. One of them I would be involved in, and the other one I would not. And Adon, is it okay if I start with the trio? Yeah. So this one, this has been a favorite movement of mine for a long time. It is the slow movement from his Schubert's first piano trio, B flat.
Meredith, this is one of my choices too.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so funny. It's so beautiful.
If you chose the same recording as me, then there's something weird going on.
I will laugh if we did. Well, we'll find out in a minute. But when I was in college at Oberlin, all the music majors have to take like a piano class and be relatively proficient, which I no longer am, but at the time I sort of was. And I would play the opening of this movement in the practice room when I was like bored with practicing viola, because it's just such a gorgeous opening. So I asked Adon to play you all the opening minute and a half of this movement.
Which who's playing that?
That is the Cortona Trio. Do you know them?
No.
I played with a couple of them at a festival a few years ago, and I just thought they were amazing players. And then I was looking up a YouTube clip for this, and I saw they had one, and I was like, oh,
nice.
I'll go with one. But
the recording that I'm not gonna play it, but I mean we won't play it later in the hour. But the one I had was like an old recording. It's Jacques Thibault and Casals and Alfred Cortot, and it's like sort of out of tune and mistakes, and it sounds like Thibault sometimes is just like deciding what finger to use, but it's so beautiful. If you get a chance, you should check it out.
Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah. Oh God, I just love that piece so much. And like technically, I always go back and forth of whether or not I should feel jealous that I don't get to play any of those melodies, or feel like so lucky that I can just sit and listen and enjoy when other people play it. So
we wish that you would play it.
So that's my one choice. And then my second choice is from Schubert's String Quintet in C major, which I think a lot of people know it as the Cello Quintet, which is I think maybe my favorite piece of all time. Like,
have we not played that with you?
I never played. I know you guys played it, but I didn't get to play it with you, and I missed the like seagull. What was it like? There was something.
Oh yes, that's right.
Part. Yes, the sneeze part. This is a long story. We'll tell you at 7.
Maybe after.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's like
basically waiting for Guffman Classical Music Edition.
Yeah.
It was like the one time I almost peed myself on stage. Yes.
I'm kind of offended that I wasn't part of that, but at the same time, I really love listening to the story. So hopefully you can tell it later.
You were a twinkle in our eye.
That's right. Oh my God.
So why this movement?
Well, this movement, I don't know what Schubert's deal is, but like he just has the ability to make me just like float out of my body, and just like it's just so heavenly. Like it's so pure sounding, but at the same time, it's like really like it tears your heart apart at the same time, you know, like he just has this ability to write the most gorgeous melodies and accompaniments. And I think this has just always been a favorite piece of mine. So Adon, take it away. Thank you. Doesn't it just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so beautiful. One of my all-time faves. So I
have a little bit of PTSD with that piece, but
I'm sorry. Poor Kevin. We'll try to recreate to clear out the old and create a new memory. But so we would need a second cellist for that. So that would be interesting.
So that would come out of your salary.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, this is one thing that we have to think about, and maybe something to think about in your suggestions, the audience, in your suggestions too, is, we have our core ensemble, and we try to program for that, for the ensemble, or just the members that we have. And if we need to add, then it's just a budget consideration. So it's just one of the limiting principles that we have to have in programming.
By the way, that music, so sublime, so moving, so deep. Dude was 31.
I just can't. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane to me. How old was he when he passed away?
33.
31.
33.
Oh, he was
31.
31. Oh, Jesus.
This was his last chamber piece. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just makes it even more. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he was going through some stuff at that time when he wrote that.
Syphilis.
Yep.
Mayor, thank
Yes.
you for those choices. Ben, please let us know what you've been thinking. Inquiring minds want to
Well,
know.
just about the program, Ben.
Yeah, well, you don't want a glimpse into the rest of my
Yeah.
No, well, first of all, I love all the choices so far. Mine are very different, but I really am loving hearing these and also reading the chat and so many thoughtful things that people have to say about them. So, okay, I was able to narrow mine down to 3, and I have a budget pick, a medium pick, and a splurge pick based on the programming that Kevin was just talking about.
I love the practicality and whimsy of that, framing. Thank you.
So I don't know which direction we want to start with, but actually I do know. So Adon, so my first pick is a piece by Ravel, and it's his the 3 poems by Stéphane Mallarmé, and it's for I believe string quartet, 2 flutes, 2 clarinets, and a soprano. And there's just something about the way that Ravel orchestrates that group of instruments and the atmosphere that he creates that it's truly unlike anything I've ever heard before. And I just think, I was also trying to think as I was coming up with this list, because I feel like the word calm and like what calm means to each person, like it can be different in different contexts, and calm could be, literally like bringing us, sort of like bringing our blood pressure down. It could be just sort of giving us a sense of catharsis. There's so many things that calm can be. So I tried to pick things that sort of approach that word from different angles. So this is calm in a very different way from Schubert.
That is gorgeous, Ben. I thought that was your budget pick, and I was like, "Oh, you really meant Mahler 9."
I wish that were my budget pick. I love it so much. But I mean, who needs clarinets? You can't even hear them.
Well, how long is that movement?
I think each movement's like 3 or 4 minutes long, and there are 3 movements.
So the thing with that is we would probably need to program a few other vocal pieces.
Right.
So inside,
and we're in luck because I have another pick with vocalist.
Oh, okay,
You're
good.
so sneaky. Yes.
Well, here's the inside behind the curtain moment, in addition to the obvious that we've already been doing, which is that when we program one piece that involves like more people, we pay those musicians the same as everybody else, because it just gets weird if you decide like this person gets this much and this person gets this much.
Well,
so
and they have to be there at the entire concert.
Right. So
the
it
sound
seems
check
kind
and
of like
everything.
it only makes sense to have them play on something that more substantial. Um, anyways,
Yeah.
more pieces, longer pieces, stuff like that. But yeah, I appreciate the framing of this, Ben. What's next?
So next is our medium pick. This one is by Manuel de Falla. I believe it's meant to be in French. I don't know how to pronounce it. I would call it Psyche. Maybe it's Psyche. I don't know.
Psych. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. And again, this is for, I believe, string quartet, soprano, and flute. There might be harp in this. Yeah,
this is pretty.
Anyway, so I just think this is another just beautiful one. And I am a huge Manuel de Falla fan anyway. So I just love getting to listen to his music and play it.
Delicious. Everyone was supposed to come with one top choice, and I can tell. I can see how hard this is going to be to program because there's so many good choices. What's the last one?
How long is the show?
Well, that's a good thing about being being an artist-led organization. We can just decide. 4 hours?
8.
8. Okay.
Okay, so my last pick, sorry, I know I had too many, but the last one is like the budget pick, but this is a piece by a composer alive today who I really love, Chris Theophanides. I commissioned a piece of his, and this is a movement from a piece that he wrote called Visions and Miracles. And I think it was originally for string orchestra, and that's the only recording that exists, but it also exists in a version for string quartet, and that's where I heard it, was in a live performance, and I was just completely blown away. So this is the second movement of Visions and Miracles. It's sort of two outer movements that are faster, and then this one is called, let me see, I can't remember all the words. Peace, Love, Light, You, Me, One. And it's for string quartet.
What were the last 3 words?
You, Me, One. All smushed together as one word.
Okay. How long is this piece?
I think that movement's about 4 minutes and change. And the
And
whole
what is the instrumentation?
It's just string quartet. That recording was for string orchestra, but it's for quartet.
Ah, no flute. I'm shocked.
I know. Well, I had to come up with a budget pick, and I'm very excited. So.
All right, MJ, what are your choices?
I followed the directive to come with one, but I went in with guns blazing. And let's say mine is the Hermes Birkin bag of the lot.
I've always wondered how to pronounce that. Okay, Hermes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would not be cheap. So Kevin is the only one who's heard this idea. I think I put it on our like brain dump Google sheet for all our resident artists a long time ago. But for some reason, when COVID started, I had this cockamamie scheme of like doing, first of all, the Vaughan Williams Fantasia on a Theme by Thomas Tallis is just one of my like desert island pieces. And it just kept popping into my head during COVID. And I felt like, and as you know, the members who were chatting with us in the sort of members pre-hang, we were also talking about the future direction of Happy Hour itself and all of this. And it seems like just what was swirling around in my head was the idea of integrating the experiences that we've had, like in the real world and online, like sublimating that in some way, and that would provide some sort of cathartic calmness. So the idea that I had was to basically do like the Vaughan Williams Fantasia is for an enormous like string orchestra. There's actually not just one, there's two string orchestras. So I had this idea of we would be the live smaller of the two string orchestras, which is basically 1-2 apart. And before that, we would record and layer the first string orchestra so that it would be this kind of like very, without having to spell it out like I am now, like this sort of like you're observing and this performance that is a hybrid virtual and live event and sort of a nod to everybody's collective experience. That is also just this like stunning piece of music. So the closest thing I could find was a YouTube video of, and I don't know if we're watching video or just listening to the audio, but it's the Philharmonia in London, and they're all socially distanced, even within like the main orchestra. And then there's like the second string orchestra that's behind them. It's kind of like antiphonal.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's an 18-minute piece. Like I said, you know, they're expensive
and extremely expensive too.
Right, and you know, as like literally
the longest piece.
What's that?
As long as I didn't pick the longest piece, that's all. I'm off the hook.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just kind of hilarious that I'm literally the one who is in charge of our books. And I'm like, so what I'm suggesting is the most elaborate, most expensive. So
well, we would have to pay everyone to record it, and
right.
we would have to pay for a live sound. We'd have to live sound for how many? Was it 3 or 2? I can't remember if we're doing it this one.
2.
Is this at 3? Is 2?
2.
Okay, so two live sound expenses.
Right.
Let's hear it. Is it worth it? Let's see if it's worth it.
Here's my question. Now that we have like a think tank here, would it be extremely weird and unsatisfying to have any number of the people playing not be real in real life, pre-recorded? Or would it be a really cool nod to like the collective experience of COVID? So that's sort of like, in addition to the, the cost and practicalities considerations, I just also was curious if that would be really cool and interesting, or just kind of a waste and weird.
I love this idea so much. I think it's brilliant. I am so on board. Like, if we can make it work, because this piece is so gorgeous. And I saw that you suggested it in Slack, and I was like, I wonder if she means we would like do, like, how does she think we're like, I kept thinking like, is it string quartet? But then how would we do the second group? And like, but I think I love this idea. I think it's so cool.
Another way we could do it would be, we could do it with another string ensemble.
Yeah.
So we could do something like, then we'd have to do something like an Escu octet or Mendelssohn octet slow movement. Or you know what? We could then move on to like, we could move into bigger form, slow movements of like a
right.
What about
chamber
incorporating amateur musicians as well? Like, do you play a stringed instrument? Do you want to be a part of this performance? Like the virtual choir, Eric Whitaker's virtual choir. Anyone can sing.
P.S. Eric Whitaker, happy hour guest.
Like, I haven't played my cello in like 10 years probably, except for a Salastina appearance, a cameo in Purcell's Fantasia on One Note, where I did nail that middle C.
You nailed it. It was beautiful.
But, also, for those who are talking about Shostakovich, excuse me, bom 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 bom.
Oh, nice! I didn't even see that. Yeah. I thought it was a Disney Hall shirt or something.
I dressed for the meeting.
Yes.
But anyway, that's my 2 cents on like, and I think it would be cool to do a virtual element, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, free labor, basically.
I'll record 2 parts, and then you have to pay me a doubling fee. So.
Spoken like a true studio musician.
I'm a former AFM member, y'all.
Wow.
I did not know that. Oh my goodness.
Local 40.
Very good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so just so to let everybody know, we do have some choices from Hyejin and Yoshi, but if they can't make it, and so we don't care.
Nice. That's really nice, Kevin.
We have to draw the line somewhere.
If I can just interrupt real quickly again. I'm playing Brandenburg 4 right now with the LA Chamber Orchestra. Maya, are you on that recording? So you're on KUSC right now, just to
You're in 2 places at once. Yeah.
Oh, and for those of you who are movie buffs, the Vaughan Williams that we heard it's one of the best uses of classical music in a movie score in Master and Commander with Russell Crowe. The part where that poor dude gets washed out away from the boat. That's that piece that's playing. Anyways, trivia.
Okay, my turn. Kevin, what are your choices? Well, so my memory of this is that we were playing we played the complete Brahms string quartets, and we were working on the slow movement of the C minor Brahms string quartet, and we were like, just, I don't know, we were all just like dying, and we're like, oh, we should just do a program of slow movements. And so for me, on my side, this was the inspiration. Don, can we play a little bit of this? I don't know if I think of this as calm music, but like that's the thing with Brahms is like, there's so much. Yes, Brian. I don't.
Like this is a.
I'm not sure exactly what that means, but yes, okay.
There's something under there. There's
Yeah. Yeah. What I'm finding interesting is just how we're not looking too forwards in time, right? For in all of these choices. I think that's interesting. But
that's true. Only Ben, your choices were with Theophanides and Addis. No, wait, Brian, you chose Addis.
Yeah, Brian did. I mean, I had some other choices. Like we did a Caroline Shaw, slow movement, herbaceous borders, which I thought was really beautiful and I thought would fit. And a bunch of other things, like some Enescu slow movements and whatnot.
No,
but for some reason,
Enescu.
Yeah. But this, I don't know. There's just something simple. Like it kind of reminds me of the Corn Gold. It's simple, but it's not simple. It says so much. The other choice I had, and this is because I think one of Salastina's strong points is when we take something that's meant for bigger forces, and then we do it, with a small ensemble, and somehow, I don't know what it is. Somehow it just changes everything when we do it. It just changes the meaning, I think, of the music for me, and it makes it much more, not just intimate, but it changes the meaning in the sense of like, when something's written for these gigantic forces, where the composer wants to hear, doesn't want to hear individual voices, right? They want to hear this collective sound. When you take that and you do it for individual voices, I feel like it changes the meaning of the music. So this is my second choice. We'll play it and you tell me if you recognize it. So that was the Adagietto from Mahler 5, and that is for string, like a string orchestra. But I bet we could do it justice. Yeah. That's those are our choices from our side. Now we want to hear some of yours, and I have not been able to keep track of the chat. So how should we do this?
Well, first, I must make my plea.
Yes.
If you would like to grant us our expensive Hermes Birkin dreams, you are now getting a sneak peek of the considerations that go into programming. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. Some of it is, oh crap, if we have a clarinet for a 3-minute piece, we better use them for something else. Or, gosh, how would we do that really cool idea? How would we make that work? So that costs money. So if you're in a position to do so, please consider making a donation to Salastina. You were also generous last year. It almost pains me to even ask again, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your input and for your support. And that is all.
So just so everybody knows, I was just joking about Yoshi and Hyejin. I'm going to read out their choices. And of course, Yoshi chose pieces that he would play. The Amy Beach Romance and the slow movement of Rachmaninoff Third Sonata. Hyejin suggested, what did she suggest? Adagio for Strings by Barber. And also...
Sorry, I hate playing that piece. It's so beautiful, but playing it as a string quartet is literally the most traumatizing experience of anybody's life.
I think we should explain why that is. So this is the one from Patton. If you guys know the movie Patton, it goes... It's so beautiful.
Wait, what? From what movie?
Patton, right? Isn't it in Patton?
Patton?
I feel like it's been in everything, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, like big World War II.
Apocalypse Now. I think it was in.
Is it? Oh, that too. That too. But it's like so cathartic and amazing. But the reason it is so hard in string quartet is because you can't hide, like to sustain all those really long notes and long lines and have a beautiful sound and vibrate and not create any bumps that come about from like bow changes or just your hand getting tired from like the constant. It's so much easier to play in a string orchestra and just like settle into everybody else's sound and hide your bow changes. And it creates that glow that you have to work 18 million times harder for in quartet. Like, what would you add to that, Mare?
Well, not that is all exactly right. Not to mention the fact that when you're in a chamber orchestra, or at least there's two of you on a part, you don't have to worry about double stops, because the double stops are literally impossible to get into.
So true.
It's like the nastiest double stops across every member of the quartet. And when you're playing it with a big group, every person can just pick one note. It's so much easier to just... Sorry, I had to play this as a string quartet last year, and I'm still traumatized.
Okay. Well, we did it once too.
We can tell.
A long time ago. Yeah. So that's a no from Meredith. Veto. I guess everybody has veto power. Yeah. I feel like for string quartet, like it needs to be a quartet of like giants with giant bows or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we did it though, Kevin. Do you remember? We did.
Yeah, I thought that was with Meredith too.
Was it?
I blocked it out.
With Helen, with Shaudan, now Helen, and
it's very possible we did. I'm sure that was beautiful and fine. But let's not do it
Good
again.
save, Mare. Good save.
wow. Thanks, Mare, for remembering.
By the way, yes, Vincent, you're right. We're wrong. Platoon.
Platoon. Sorry. Okay.
Two O's and one T, not the other way around.
Yeah, brains are weird. What can I say?
I was just saying the French version. Okay, so let's see.
But other things that we're considering too, as we're opening it up to your suggestions, is like looking for a balance of familiarity and discovery too.
Totally. Yeah.
Also, we don't want to give a program of all dead people if we can avoid it. We don't want to give a program of all guys, and we don't want to give a program of all white people.
Mm-hmm.
So like these are things that we take into account. And I did notice that all of our top choices, like almost all of our top choices, were mostly white guys and mostly dead. So not all of our top choices are going to get programmed specifically for, I think, for that reason, because that's not what music, that's not a fair representation of what music is.
Right.
It's not our ideal of what a concert should be. So we will take our top suggestions and we will have long conversations about what goes in and what doesn't go in and what's missing once we start to narrow things down.
And I think also like something we haven't talked about, I think I put something in the chat about this maybe 15 minutes ago or so, but there's choosing the individual pieces and kind of geeking out over those, but then there's like threading them together into the longer experience of the full, you know, mixtape or playlist, if you will, like sort of curating that. So we also have to pay attention not only to like the representation standards of our time, but also like the emotional impact of all of those pieces strung together. So like the last thing we want is for everybody to just listen to this beautiful music and kind of like lose interest. You know, I wouldn't even say fall asleep, because that's like a legitimate soothing response. Just get bored, you know, like of having the same kind of emotional effect. So within the sort of calm theme, making sure that there's enough of a sort of emotional journey that it's a satisfying thread to follow.
Jeff, I love both of those pieces, by the way. Summerland is stunning. There's a version for, I think, wind ensemble and quartet, and I think solo piano, which Hagen would play beautifully.
Jeff,
and,
do you want to come on and tell us about it?
Yeah.
And lyric for strings is like, if we don't want to play the adagio for strings, that's a gorgeous alternative.
Yeah, I play in a community orchestra. We've done those, and they're it's they're good to play. They're good to listen to, and I just don't know if they'll fit into like a string quartet format, or if you can find an arrangement. But they're worth checking out.
I mean, part of our budget considerations would be, to pay for arrangements too. Yeah, that's always a possibility. Yeah, but tell us about Lyric for Strings. And who's George Walker? I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself here.
Yeah, so, okay, sorry, I can't remember all the details on George Walker and why he wrote the piece.
Okay.
So I'll just leave you to look it up. But he is, I think, as I recall, he's an African-American composer, and I'm sorry, I just don't remember I heard a story about like how his background in writing this piece. I just don't remember.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful piece. George Walker was the first Black composer to win the Pulitzer Prize for Music. And the Lyric for Strings is a piece that he wrote shortly after the death of his grandmother. And it has that same sort of catharsis and pathos that the Barber Adagio does. And they're often played together. And, William Grant Still is amazing. And Summerland is just like 3 minutes of gorgeousness.
All right, let's see. Hi, Greta.
Hey.
You want to tell us about your choice?
I didn't have a particular choice. Someone just put that in the chat, mentioning the Sibelius Quartet, and I actually had been just listening to it today, thinking about it and thinking, wow, this is really beautiful. So when it came up, I thought, wow, serendipity.
Yeah, totally. So everybody, Greta is a brilliant choreographer. And when we did, Kevin was speaking earlier to, when we do bigger pieces for smaller forces, we did the Messiah with one on a part, and Greta choreographed a beautiful dance to go with the entire Messiah as we did it. It was one of the cooler performances we've ever done. And it's good to see you.
Thank you. It was really special. We should do something together again, I hope.
Definitely.
Good to see you, Greta.
Thank you, you guys. Nice to be here.
Natalie, would you like to unmute?
And this is not what I listed. I recall Florence Price has a really nice, almost nocturne-like piece in one of her symphonies, and I was trying to find.
Oh, okay. Well, what were your other choices?
Anything by Lauritzen, not as in Brian Lauritzen, but as in Lauritzen, the composer.
The lesser Lauritzen.
Yes. Who normally writes choral music, so it would have to be transcribed for string quartet, but I think it would be beautiful. Any of his pieces, really. They're all just so calming, and I think would fit your theme to a T.
Oh yeah, Lux Eterna, actually that's for pretty small forces, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It's nothing like Whitaker, right? You don't have to have the world singing. You can have 8 people doing it.
I think you could probably do something with like O Magnum Mysterium or Di Re Tom, would maybe transcribe nicely to string forces.
I also happen to be a fan of his because he's from my neighborhood. So,
What neighborhood's that?
I live in Washington State. He used to keep fire lookout at a near a place where my family used to hike all the time on Mount St. Helens before it blew.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Cool.
He's a cool guy. And thanks for this. This is exactly what I needed tonight. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for the suggestions. Jason, what do you have for us?
Oh man, like I'm the person who always has like bad suggestions. I'm kidding, because like they're always like puckish and impossible. So like the last movement of Ben Johnston's 10th string quartet, which is like insane, and Maya's like, no.
No, I'm saying that because I don't know. I have no context for what that is. Like,
or your microtonal chops.
Oh God,
that's right. No, but it's gorgeous, and it sort of
it should be calm for us too, No,
I know, and that's why it's a bad suggestion. Like I opened with like Night of the Electric Insect, so
Right.
No, but
is that Crumb?
Yeah, from Black Angels.
Right. Yeah.
No, but the kind of better suggestions, and I've said this one to you before, but from like Messiaen, right? The Louange à l'Éternité de Jésus, which is just ridiculous.
Is that cello and piano?
It's cello and piano, yeah.
Yeah, Hyejin had the same suggestion too. Yeah.
And it's just great, and obviously Yoshi and Hyejin would kill it. So
we'd have to audition Yoshi for that. That's from the quartet for the End of Time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Also, if you hire a clarinet to do something else, then there's that. But obviously not for the calm piece. But
yeah, nice suggestions. Okay.
Yeah.
No, and I've been listening to contemporary stuff by like Caleb Burns. He's got some nice pieces. If I'm saying his name right, like Yahrzeit is beautiful, or I want to say it's Contritus. Yeah. Like they're both just string quartet pieces.
Tell us about this composer. Who's it?
I don't know who he is especially well.
Okay.
I know he's composed stuff for like Roomful of Teeth. He has a solo album of stuff like where it has a couple quartet pieces played by Jack Quartet. And then the other one was done by Acme. Mm-hmm. So all like pretty recent stuff, but like they're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, for contemporary stuff too, it's funny. We talked about this a little bit with the writer for the New Yorker, Alex Ross.
Oh, Ted Gioia?
No, Alex Ross.
No.
We're talking about programming contemporary composers. Well, he was talking about programming Wagner, and so we got into this discussion about like programming composers that we like. So, when we don't know the composers, it helps to know a little bit about them too. Yeah. All right. So how are we doing this? I am not taking notes. Sorry. I'm terrible at this. So are we, how should we do this? Should we,
Well, Zoom automatically saves the chat.
And we can just watch this over again. This is recording. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't feel particular, and I know that Marissa is like Eagle Eyes McGee over there.
Yeah. She just said it's in the doc, of course.
Hi, doc, playlist.
Yes. Thank you.
She's on it.
Thank you. I can only do one thing at a time.
Typical man brain.
Yes. Let's see. Flow.
Let's see.
Your choices sound expensive. Can we hear about them?
Not here anymore.
Okay.
What were her expensive choices, Kevin?
A lot of Dvorak, but like actually no, they could totally work. String Serenade and Slavonic dances. So we could Slavonic dances. I think would need some arranging.
Do piano version.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ever a second pianist. Moderately expensive.
Well, the piano itself is expensive, so if we had to have 2 pianos.
Well, sorry, it may be 4 hands. Actually, I'm not sure.
Ah, okay.
It's 20 fingers is all I know.
Okay.
20 fingers.
That sounds less appealing for some reason.
The way that we talk
Than
about
4
that
hands.
in Caltech is like how many butts per stool, because if they're on one keyboard, there's butts sharing a stool, but if they're on different keyboards, it's different stools.
Yes. It all comes back to butts in Salastina. All right. Let's see.
4 hands.
Yes.
1 piano.
Patty Jacobs, you want to tell us about your choice? Hi, Patty. Oh, let's see. Are you speaking? I do not hear you. Anybody else hearing her? No. Okay.
Can't hear her. No.
Yeah.
So you don't look muted, but do you have AirPods in or something like that? Can we read your lips? Let's see.
Can anyone here read?
Oh, you want to just type it?
You're saying it's
Flute.
flute?
No flute. No flute and no crazy Ben. We got it. That's what I'm charades.
It's 4 flute.
4 flute. Okay, hold on.
I'm already loving
And then this. I'm not sure what that's meant.
I want to guess Peter Broderick Part 2 Understanding.
You type it?
But I think she typed it in earlier.
Oh, she did. I missed that. Danse de la Chef. Oh. I don't know that piece. Ben, do you know that piece?
It's fun.
Cool.
Yeah, it's short. It's like 3 or 4 minutes. It's very quirky.
Great. Great.
It's like sort of got a Syrinxy vibe, but a little more like, I don't know. Yeah, what Patty said.
Just sums it up. Nice. Sorry, Patty, but thank you for your choice. It's a good one.
Did we get to share Audrey's choice? The Shostakovich, Don had that in Slack. It was Piano Concerto Number 2, Andante. Lovely.
You know what I love about all these choices is that none of them are just like a drone with, you know what I mean? Like it's not just calm music. All of this is like soul feeding music, you know? There's something really like all of these choices are just yeah, they're just soulful, I think, you know?
David, are you still here? Yes. Would you like to share your suggestions? Piano music. Hi.
Oh, hey, David.
Yes, hi, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's been a pleasure listening to all of these pieces. It's just frustrating when they are cut off. I start to feel calm, and then it's, calmus interruptus.
Put on the record scratch sound effect out.
Yeah.
That was a piece by Max Richter, by the way, Brian. I think, that I was trying to recall. And
Great.
I thought of it at the time, writing it down for this occasion, or this, notion of a concert with that type of music. Calm. Yeah, I haven't heard, I guess Hai Jin is not present, but but she will be at the concert, I assume. Yeah. So nobody has really spoken about solo piano pieces, but it's always great in a concert to have that kind of variety and interruption of the strings. Not that I have anything against the strings. So I know, I think on your website, there's a recording of her playing the Brahms Intermezzo in A. And she plays it beautifully, and it's such an incredible piece. And I think it would fit in this category. And then I mentioned also the Alcott movement of the Ives Concord Sonata, which also is brief and also just so lyrical and evocative, I think. So those were my thoughts. And I love the Adagietto from the Mahler. And, it was brilliantly used in A Death in Venice, another use of music at the opening of that film, as Dirk Bogarde approaches Vienna in the gondola to his death. But so, and I think, in some of your concerts, what drew me to them originally, like you were the Ravel or Verklärte Nacht, there was a recognizable piece. There was a identifiable piece. There was a you might say, celebrated, and the Adagietto certainly would serve that purpose. I mean, it is a beloved piece, and I know you want to shy away from things maybe that are overplayed, like the earlier mentioned. What?
You mean the Brahms?
No, not the Serenade for Strings, but the other
Barbara Adagio.
lugubrious piece.
Yeah. Oh, Barbara Adagio, yeah.
Yeah, the Barbara Adagio.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's vetoed by Mir. Everyone gets one veto.
But
you're right, David. Though it is the balancing of the familiar and the discovery that is really important, especially for a concert of this type where there's going to be a great number of different pieces. So.
Right, and I also, I think Meredith knows, and I don't know, Maya, if you were with the Pacific Symphony when I portrayed Shostakovich, but having portrayed Shostakovich on that occasion, I'm a big exponent of anything by, good old Dmitri, and it's always surprising. So much of his music is what you might call bombastic or anything but calming.
Sure.
When you find those pieces, and the waltz is beautiful. I don't know what the instrumentation is, but da 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 da. I'm always surprised that that's Shostakovich, and it's also a great. I don't know that it's calming. It's probably not calming. Maybe you should have a piece that's the opposite of calming, but just for contrast, wake the audience up. But, so that's.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting. So what Brian said earlier is absolutely true. I mean, we try to live up to our mission, I think, when we do programming, and that's, that means also celebrating what's written now. But I think it's just interesting how we turn to the familiar, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I think it's because, if I can just add one more 2 bits, I think it's because when we think of calming music, you said this is, Kevin, you said this is also music that is soul stirring or speaks to the soul. It's like there's something that is so nourishing about all of these pieces, you know, and what Maya was talking about earlier in terms of addressing this, you know, pandemic that is still with us. These are the kinds of pieces that we turn to for comfort and for solace and peace when everything else is so stirred up and unsettled. I you know, that would be my take on that. But I'm just a dead white guy. Oh no, wait, not yet.
Nothing against the dead white guy. Nothing against him.
Actually, I'm a COVID survivor, so it didn't get me.
Oh, wow. Goodness.
You know, early on, it hit hard, but I had it March 2020, before we knew what COVID was. So but anyway, so I've listened, like the Brahms Intermezzo, I used to have to listen to, you know, every night before I went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just like, okay, a little piece of peace to grab a hold of.
Yep.
And inspiration.
So beautiful.
I think, Maya, what you were saying earlier too is a really important point to reiterate, is that calm means something different to everyone. Like calm can mean, and you hear it in the different selections that people are thinking about. Like,
Yeah.
and so maybe as we're continuing this discussion and continuing to sort of curate this program, is to come up with additional words. Like, sure, we called the concert Salastina.calm, and it's a bad pun, but like, let's, you know, sort of open up our minds to other words and phrases that we're thinking of when we're trying to evoke a certain feeling.
I think
cheap.
Like cheap. Yes.
Cheap. Yes.
And like it's 7:30 and I actually have to say farewell, my friend.
Thank you, Brian.
It's great to be back with all of you, and looking forward to hearing what develops as we keep going with this.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Mayor and Ben, were there things that were almost at the top of your list that didn't quite make it?
Well, I didn't know that we were going to consider like arrangements of things, because that opens up a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I don't have specifics right now, but I'm going to go revisit my list now that I know that we could maybe, you know, fudge some things.
Off the top of your head.
I don't have a head. I'm going to go back and look through my list that I was making earlier. Come back to me.
What about you, Mary?
Well, the intermezzo actually was on my list too. I know Hagen recorded that during the pandemic, and I listened to it a lot.
Yeah,
so.
that. If you haven't heard it yet, that is just a stunning performance.
I put it in the blast on Friday to advertise this happy hour.
Yeah.
That's what came to mind for me. Yeah.
I know.
We all have the same brains.
Yeah. Yep. Yet again. I know I'd have to do some more stewing, but I'm sure I could come up with like a gajillion more. I don't have any in my brain right now though. Because like Ben said, I don't have a head, so sorry.
Jane, that is hysterical. Salastina, I like that. Yes.
Oh, that's cute. That's like our
We have
drag
no
name.
Tinas. Huh?
It's our drag name.
Leave. Oh my God, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. Where are you? Can I see you? So Leave Redpath. Hi.
Oh, hey,
Beautiful
Leave.
soprano. What are you doing on January 25th? Would you like to be our happy hour guest?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Hello.
Yay!
Good to see you. Are you at Diane's?
Yeah. Diane and I are hanging out. I just went for a I missed some of your talk, but
We're just programming. This is how we're programming our next concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like crowdsourcing, you know.
Is that aria that Lorraine Hunt Weaverson recorded. As with Rosie Steps the Morn. Have you ever heard that?
Say it again.
I think it's As with Rosie Steps the Morn. Peter Sellers staging of Theodora. She sings Irene, this character, but it's this really placid Handel aria that's like enchanting. Very calm.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyways, good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Good to see you. And I will send you an email.
Good.
Yes. Nice. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here today. Gosh, next week we have one of our colleagues in the kind of LA music studio, classical, the whole thing. Luann Homsey is a wonderful violinist and a really seasoned chamber musician who also recently, thanks to her husband's, he's a guitarist in the kind of gypsy jazz tradition. And when they got together, they started improvising, and she found that she really had a knack for this style of playing. And I've learned recently that both of her parents are jazz musicians. And so it was always strange that she went into classical music and really excelled in that world. But long story short, she won a huge jazz violin or Hungarian style gypsy violin competition in Hungary last year during COVID and released an album. She's just amazing. And so she and her husband, Tommy, are going to be on next week and play live and talk about their musical lives. Luann's also probably one of the busiest musicians that I know. I don't know how she has time for basically anything. She arranges things, she composes things. Just really cool person. So yeah, join us for that.
She's performed with us a few times too.
That's true. Yeah.
It'll be a great one.
Yeah. Exactly. Stefan Grappelli and Django Reinhardt. She's, and one thing that I'll want to talk with her about it with all of you guys is just how learning this different style of playing fed back on her classical playing. Because I have to admit that sort of freedom to improvise and is something that I really envy. And when I watch Luann and play with her, I'm just kind of like, oh man, it would be so cool to feel that sort of freedom, not that to be so constrained by I want to do it exactly like this, more spontaneity. It's really, really something. Anyways, that'll be cool. And we also have Eric Whitaker on soon. That's going to be really special. He's one of the most popular musicians around right now. Fun fact, Philip, my husband, was at, what is that called? College Light Opera Company in Cape Cod. Eric Whitaker was the conductor when he was a student at Juilliard, and allegedly he had this big blonde ponytail and was kind of a dork. And now he's like the Jamie Lannister of choral music.
Jamie Lannister.
Yeah, just like dashing and super successful. Just, yeah. But Philip knew him when.
We need pictures or,
Yes, worthless without pictures, I know.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Bye.